All right, so this is everything gotten from the Philadelphia Phillies hosting the San Diego Padres on July 2nd, 2025. You can see we have quite a lot here. We have food items, which is why I want to film this first segment and get those out of the way because they need to go in the fridge. It was National Krimpet Day or something. Tastykake is made in Philly or in the Philly area. And so when you walk in, they're giving away free food. So you had this, which is a crimpet, and they even had a mascot there, which you'll see throughout the first pitch. But yeah, this is a birthday cake crimpet that got melted to hell in the bag. And we have confetti cake mini muffins and also blueberry mini muffins, all free when you walked in the gate. So very interesting. Might as well show this off too. Store bag, which had this stuff in it, the cards, the yearbook, and the media guide. See, home of the Phillies since 2004, and all the social media related stuff, and same thing on that side. We have 2 souvenir cups here. There's actually 5 in the series, but I'm not going to buy 5 large sodas. You see how big these things are? This is the first one I got, which is like a throwback, which is really cool. The background kind of looks like 90s. You see the throwback P, Philadelphia, Phillies NL East, and you see I don't know what you call that, a shadow of the city. And then Coke Zero Sugar on the bottom. I got regular Coke. I will say I do like the self-serve type style that they had, at least the concession I went to, because it's like I want a souvenir cup full of Coke. Most places, you tell them that and they fill it right there for you. It's easy enough, but this was even easier. They had it all laid out, in like 5 different rows. Each one was a different soda. So it's like a souvenir cup of Coke. I literally just grab it and that's it. It's right in front of me. Grab if I want lemonade, same thing. It'd be like over here, you grab that. So it was very interesting. I did like that. I'm still working on this one, but this is the second one I picked up. This is really cool, actually. This is for a specific game. This is Christopher Sanchez, August 17th of last year. Throw a second career complete game, and we're not focusing. Second career complete game in win over Nationals. See again the skyline down here. See it's a Phillies 100 times along the bottom. There's Christopher. And another picture of him there. The P, and we got this again. So anyway, I wanted to get a select number of these items out of the way now because they need to go in the fridge to stop from melting. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, it's not it because I still have to record what's in here. It's just this would take a couple more minutes. So I will be right back in 1 second. I just realized I was showing the back of that, not the front. So I'll be back for you in about a second to finish off here with these final 3 items. All right, so I got rid of all that stuff that needed to go in the fridge and whatnot. Also, I have the Padres pack here, which I didn't use. I got it from Amazon. I didn't use Prime necessarily to get it next day, but I still got it next day anyway. I ordered this yesterday, and even without Prime, it still came in 1 day, so that was pretty good. Anyway, I will start off with the cards, and then probably the yearbook, and then the media guide, and yeah, I'll be back. Actually, before I open them here is the checklist you can see on the back of everyone that's in here. All right, I'm going to be starting off with the road team, that of course being San Diego. So first, I think it looks better not on there. Solid background, Phone has enough trouble focusing on things. Jackson Merrill is our first one here. What's the gold thing? Topps All-Star? Hold on, let me try reading that. All-Star. Okay, after reading it very closely, it says All-Star Rookie, specifically. Alright, moving on. Dylan Cease. Go back to using this hand. Ha-Sung Kim. Xander Bogaerts. Jake Cronenworth. Yu Darvish. Michael King. Manny Machado. Luis Ariz. Randy Vasquez. Joe Musgrove. Jurickson Profar, Donovan Solano, Robert Suarez, Fernando Tatis Jr., Rosario, guy. I don't know how else to pronounce that. Tanner Scott is our final guy here. So that was San Diego. Now we'll move on to the pack I actually bought at the stadium. Bryce Harper is first here for the Phillies. Alec Boehm. Brandon Marsh. Christopher Sanchez. Kyle Schwarber. Bryson Stott. Ranger Suarez. Zach Wheeler. Edmundo Sosa. Nick Castellanos. JT Realmuto. Johan Rojas. Trey Turner. Matt Strom. Austin Hayes. Seth Johnson. Taiwan Walker is our final guy there. So we're done with the card packs. We're going to go through the yearbook. This might take a while, especially with the yearbook and the media guide here. So if you're not really interested in the rest of this, you know, you kind of have the okay to click off, because this is the rest of the time here, yearbook and the media guide. It might be a little bit. We have full page coaching staff here. Well, the manager was full page. Still going through the coaches here. Obviously, you're going to have some ads. I actually don't know how much I paid for this. I just know the total between the yearbook, and obviously we're starting the roster here, as you can see. But anyway, the total between the yearbook, the media guide, and the cards was like $35. And for some reason, I was just expecting more. I don't know why, because if you think about it, you know, if you really do think about it, that does sound about right. But I don't know. I for some reason, when I heard $35, it's like, oh, that must be wrong or something. It's like, no, it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm used to going into, you know, minor league parks, and, you know, that I've never been to before, getting a, you know, the whole hat and shirt, sometimes multiple, and it being upwards of 100. That's probably what I'm used to. And here, even though it's a major league stadium, I'm only getting 3 things, none of them being clothing items. Is this okay? I was right. I thought there was another page in there. So as you see, we are still going through. I like how they have each page. Yeah, they have like a full page for each guy here. And I'm doing this directly after the game, by the way, so I have not read any of this yet. I was actually using the yearbook during the game to identify guys, and it was funny because the final 2 pitchers were not in the yearbook. And actually, they could be in here, because I see some, you know, minor league guys in here. So it's actually possible they might be in this section, but they weren't in the later sections where it gave, you know, stats and stuff. So, see, even I have Iron Pigs pictures there. But anyway, yeah, and what I was about to say is it's kind of strange, I think, as we see an article about Cooperstown here. It is kind of strange that they did not have full names anywhere in the stadium, at least in sight of where I could see it on any of the video board banners, or even the big video board, or on the wall and right. They always showed their last name for the pitcher, but a lot of major league stadiums somewhere will have their full name printed out and make it really easy. And I'm pretty sure they have here in the past, but they just didn't this time. I always had to look up who was coming in, what was their first name. Even if I'm fairly certain, I always check just to make sure, 'cause, some weird spelling and stuff like that. See an article here with Jimmy Rollins. I guess this whole thing is about people being inducted to the Philly Wall of Fame, which has changed over the years. When I was doing videos, and now we're on to prospects, but this was the area that I was looking at, the player statistics, to try to identify guys. But anyway, the Wall of Fame has definitely changed over the years. I have a video from 2017 being in there, and it was totally different. It was basically a whole hallway. It's outdoors, but it's sort of like a hallway. You went down a few steps, and it led you at the end right to where the bullpen is. Now the Hall of Fame, or Wall of Fame, is, I think it's considered right behind the batter's eye when you walk in through the outfield gate. I think that's what they consider the Wall of Fame now. Where the Wall of Fame was over by the bullpens is now sort of like a more open area now with tables. So it's definitely changed. But I'm glad that I was able to document, the old setup that was there back in, 2017, and obviously it was there before too. I don't remember what year they changed it. It wasn't very long after. It was like 18 or 19 or something. See the minor league directory, one of my favorite parts. Not that I'm contacting all these teams, but it's just cool to have recognition of all the minor league teams. As someone who's, most of my channel here is dedicated to the minor leagues. Family photos. Well, we're up past 200 pages, by the way. Oh, come on. I know you're getting toward the end when the book just wants to close on you. These are, I guess, all the seating. Actually, this is like a... No, this is like concessions. That's what this is. And all the parking. We ended up in V this time. A lot of times we end up in U. Because that's where Veteran Stadium is. Or was. But this time ended up across the street. Over there at V. Packer Avenue. At least today. We've never left through Packer Avenue. But we did today. And it was not fun. 75-ish minutes to get from here to 95. 75 minutes. And I know it doesn't help that you had 40,000 people leaving at the same time as 40,000 people coming into the stadium for game 2. Here's this full schedule and promotions and stuff. So I understand today might have been an oddity. And not just that, but also it was like 4 o'clock turning into 5 o'clock, which means rush hour, which means just normal people are trying to get through as well. There's a lot of businesses along Packer Avenue, I noticed, that involve big trucks that need to go in and out, which I felt really bad for them because they just had to somehow squeeze their way with, between all this traffic. Anyway, here's the media guide. You see NL East champions 2024 Hall of Fame class, Dick Allen. Very cool picture. Billy Wagner as well, Hall of Fame class. Okay, there we go. It's a little bit more focused here too. Front office personnel. There's going to be a lot of details in here, which general public would probably not care too much about, but they go really in depth everything when it comes to media guides. This is Now, I'm not sure if there's different versions of media guides, like the version that they actually give the media might be a little bit different than the one that they sell to the public. But overall, you know, when you buy a media guide, it's going to be super detailed because it's typically, meant for the media. But as I said, I don't know if it is slightly different version what they sell versus what they give to media. Here we are going through the coaches again, and of course you'll have some stuff that looks a little bit repetitive, however probably a little bit more in depth with everyone in their coaching career, playing career, etc. 40-man roster, non-roster invitees. Here we are moving on. So again, I'm not sure how much of this is relayed in the yearbook and how much is basically repeated here, but as you can see, Jose Alvarado here, for example, starts here. See how many bullet points is through every year, and he takes up the the next 2 pages as well. He takes up 3-4 full pages. So you see how in depth, especially for a guy who's been around since, I think that first year it said like it was 2012. So you can see how in depth everything goes. And again, this is how you listen to a broadcast or something, they bring up the most random stat. This is partly how it's done. I'm not saying that they study every single page of a media guide and memorize it all, but whenever you hear a random stat on a broadcast, more than likely it came from something random from a media guide. So I just noticed the last guy had an Instagram. Yeah, like Bryce Harper has Twitter and Instagram up there. I'm sure Bryce Harper, yeah, look how much he's taken up. I didn't even count how many pages that was. That was multiple flips, though. Seth Johnson, that was one of the guys that I never got the name of during the game. And I think he was in part of the yearbook too, just not in the statistics where I was looking. He was in that part where it's like, it gave him like a full page of recognition. So he was in the yearbook, just not in that statistics page, which is where I was looking. Oh, my wrist is getting tired. And as you can see, we're going through the whole organization here. I don't know how many of these guys, I mean, obviously I know we're going to go through the whole 40-man roster at least, but I don't know how many of these guys, are just minor leaguers. I know at the beginning, when we kind of had that vertical roster page, it showed, non-roster invitees as well. I really wonder how many we're really going through here. And then you have someone like JT Realmuto in the middle of these, relative no-names, I assume this is all alphabetical. I have not been paying attention, but it does seem like it's alphabetical. Why am I losing my voice? I apologize. I'm like speaking softly, but like for some, and it's not like I'm not someone who like screams or anything at these games. I think it's just dry throat, and I've been talking for the last 20 to 30 minutes. I think just being a hot day and immediately talking for half an hour, making me lose my voice a bit here. We're still only on S's, by the way. But yeah, and you can see they do have pictures in there too. And again, I have not gone through these. It is very hard to read a media guide cover to cover because you see how much information is in here. I think I did it with Altoona. Altoona was like the first minor league media guide that I ever got, I think. And I tried reading that cover to cover, and it took a very long time to get through it. Don't get me wrong, obviously I wanted to read through it all. I was very interested in it, but it takes a while. And of course you have pages like this where it's just straight up stats. Got a transaction page. Team history, all that. That's pretty cool. All-time roster, every single player that is played for the organization, and 56 managers, going all the way back to 1883. And I notice a lot of teams have this, their opening day record. Personally, I mean, I understand why it's a stat, but I have never personally really seemed to care too much, because we have retired numbers, another cool thing here. I've never personally cared too much about like opening day stats. I understand why it is a stat, but I don't know, it just never seemed too important to me, you know? Not as important as your overall record, your postseason record, things like that. I kind of file it under, you know, random stat. You know, it's like, oh, that's interesting, but it's not like super important, you know? We are almost to page 300. We are at 289 on this page. And yeah. So this might be a while. If I decide to read through this, which, you know, is the point of buying one of these, if I decide to read through it, it might take a little while. Might have to do it section by section. I can't grab. And I accidentally stopped recording when I did that, but I'm glad I noticed it. Can switch hands again. But yeah, it is crazy. Just, you see all the stats here. Stolen bases, big innings. 13 runs is the most runs that they've scored in a single inning in, I think that said 2004. Now we're on to pitching stats. This is difficult to grab these pages. Yeah, so, and we have a full page ad here. Defense. But, okay, that was actually surprisingly very short. Scouting and player development. Lots of development staff, as you can see. Hey, we got minor leagues, we got Iron Pigs, we got Reading, we got Jersey Shore. Been to all of those plenty of times. Not Clearwater, and not the Complex League. And, of course, not any in the Dominican League. You have the years in review for all their minor league affiliates. That's cool. I guess this goes under the scouting and development section. guess these are minor league guys we're looking at right here. A lot of them. I saw, single A, double A guys. I also saw guys who are still, in like the Florida Complex League, the Dominican League. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool that you can get this in depth with some of these stats, and like I said, to be honest, I am very well aware the general public does not care about the majority of this. And I'll even admit it's a lot to try to take in, but it's really cool that we have all this regardless, because you never know when you want to look up something random and specific about a guy, and then you can turn to the media guide. I'm not really sure if media guides are meant to be read cover to cover as soon as you get it, rather than just a reference to have on hand. General info broadcasters. TV partners. You have all of the radio affiliates. Community stuff here. Your seating chart and your directory. Stadium facts. Ground rules. Philly Fanatic. And spring training information and schedule and promotions, and there we go. Yeah, I'm sorry, my wrist is very sore. It is. Is it the same? Yeah, they're both Citizens. Oh, that's the price of that. $13.89 and $9.28. So that's what I paid for those. So anyway, that is it for this video. Like I said, I know 99% of people tuned out somewhere in the middle of this, of doing these, but it's important to me to document all that. So anyway, that is it for me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.